Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. And indeed, folks, we do have a bunch of friends joining us today to cover what will probably go down, at least in this generation. And I might even say it might be all of Xbox history, one of the worst days in the company's or the platform's days as well, a platform holder. 9,100 jobs were lost today, and some of the costs, or some of the cuts, I should say, come at great cost. We saw big cuts, over 50% worth of cuts come the way of Turn 10 Studios. We saw one of Rare's most prolific and important leaders, who has been with the company for 35 years, has launched over 30 games in his career, leave the studio after the announcement that EVRERWILD was in fact canceled. We got horrible news in regards to Perfect Dark being canceled altogether, and after last year's game of the show by many in the community, it's a bit of a shocker. ZeniMax Online had one of their games sidelined and canceled, and the current president there has decided to step down as well. I mean, folks, I hate to say this. This is one of those instances that, as a host, as you know, and many of you have been following me since inception of the channel, I always have something to say, and most of the time it's positive. It's going to be a very difficult time for me to be a positive person today. I really think that this sucks all around. And I say it, and I said it to the guys in the green room, and I'll say it to you right now. I have removed the normal PG-13 rating that we do have for this show. And I can't say it's going to be an F-bomb kind of situation or an F-bomb circus, but there is going to be a lot of grown-up conversation, and there's probably going to be a lot of emotions followed with that, with some of the conversations that we're going to have. But let me introduce the panel, and then we will get into what Phil Spencer, his letter, his email to the staffers, as well as a follow-up email by Matt Booty. But of course, Harki Chani, how are you feeling, kind sir? I know you're going to have a lot to say on the subject. Maybe not as dense as, let's say, me, but I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. Welcome back, brother. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say it's a great day, but it is what it is. This is just, and I've said this before. I'm numb to it because this is just the industry. It just is what it is, and it's, quite frankly, it's just business today. There's a lot of layoffs everywhere, and This is just kind of par for the course. And fiscal years and quarterlies, you just get these layoffs. It is part of business. I'm just like numb to it. Whatever. But we'll talk about it.
It's unfortunate. Shout out to Sir Riffs a lot. He says, "Boom, don't feed the ponies. They're waiting eagerly for a meltdown." We're not going to have any meltdowns here, folks.
I'm definitely not going to have any meltdowns.
Yeah, we're going to have adult conversation. Is it disappointing? Yes, it is. And on the back end of the conversation, because this is a very dense show, not because there is not enough to talk about. Honestly, folks, there is literally too much to talk about. So we may not be able to get to everything, every layoff, every, pink slip that was given, every cancellation, every removal. We're going to continue this conversation, C Money and myself, tomorrow. And on the back end of today's conversation, we're going to be posing the question of, how does Xbox as a platform raise from the ashes? Because they have to continue on, right? They have a commitment to next gen. They have a commitment to us as fans. They do have 30 studios still. They do have, thanks to the Variety article, over 40 games in development. But this is a lot of bad news in one. I mean, again, it's probably the most bad news I think I've ever covered as a podcaster. Again, it's just a lot of material to read through, and there's going to be a lot of big talk, and there's going to be a lot of emotions behind it. Because again, at the end of the day, folks, I want this to be clear. I understand that some people may like Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo one better than the other. But at the end of the day, the one thing I will ask, especially if you're going to get people that are going to come in today's chat, be respectful and understand that there are actual humans that lost their jobs. This is not console war. I know there's going to be some people like, yeah, but Sony. Here's the thing about that. Sony has done a lot of egregious things, but today is not about Sony. Today is about Xbox and Microsoft as a company and what they have done to gut a ton, I mean, a ton of people's jobs in a lot of studios that I know that you and I love. So we're going to focus on what Microsoft has done, what Xbox has done. And again, on the back end, Crispy Bomb, we're going to get into what happens next. But Crispy, welcome, brother. Nice to see you here again, folks. You're gonna get the crispy truth. Get ready for it. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Oh, you got a crispy rant incoming.
Yes.
It is brewing. It is frothing at the mouth, people. I will say this. Today isn't, just like you said, about Sony. Even though there's plenty of things to call out. This is about people losing their jobs. This is about another Scalebound moment. And I think this is far more egregious than Scalebound itself. I'm going to be honest with you. One of my most anticipated games was Perfect Dark.
Me too.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Well. Yeah.
It gave me spy thriller, almost the vibes of when I first played 007 GoldenEye, people.
Yeah.
It brought back nostalgia, and it's an original IP, but it hasn't been touched in what, 20 years? Like, come on. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but there's that one I can't defend at all.
Yeah, that one sucks. After again, for most people, Keasante, last year's 12 out of 10 showcase, the game of the show for many people, almost including myself, because there was quite a few like wow moments. Perfect Dark was one of those, and now that game is DOA, and the studio is gone. The initiative, which originally was, it was a meme for many years. The quadruple A studio is no more. And that sucks. But Keasante, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Yeah, it's one of those weird days, man. I'm happy to be here. It's just wow, like we all heard the rumors. It's just to see it all shake out and what's still shaking out. Some of the stuff you didn't even see coming. So we'll get into it. It's some of the, I mean, clearly, and many of us who've been corporate cogs in the wheel have understand how these things go, and we'll get into that as well. But the human toll can't be denied. It is what it is.
Yeah, indeed, it absolutely is. So listen, folks. This is a very dense show. There's a lot of material to get into, but I think that we, as a host, if I don't start with both Phil Spencer's email and statement, as well as followed up by Matt Booty, we're going to miss the forest from the trees. Like I said, we're going to break down exactly how many people lost their jobs, how many studios have been involved with it, how many more people could be announced. Because again, folks, from what I understand, there are additional announcements coming that are not going to be good. I think they announced everything that they could today, and it's an abundance of material to get into. Let me start with Phil Spencer's statement. Now, I did pull the article that was written by videogameschronicle.com. And again, there is a lot of information here, specifically with Phil Spencer. This was written by by the head dude himself, Andy Robinson. Of course, shout out to Andy, who I had a chance to meet a couple of times. Gentleman of a man. And I did want to use his article because, of course, like many things they do over at VGC, it's well written. So he does have a breakdown of Phil Spencer's statement. So let me just blow it up on my screen for myself because I have old man eyes. And I'm going to read it verbatim, folks. It says, today, we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization. To position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect for those impacted today, the specifics of today's notifications and any organizational shifts will be shared by your team leaders in the coming days. I recognize that these changes come in at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and gaming roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we've made previously. We must make choices now for continued success in the future years, and a key part of the strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate effort on areas with the greatest potential, while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. This focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. Now, there are 2 more paragraphs, folks, so bear with me. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential, but that does not lessen the significance of this moment. Simply put, we would not be where we are today without the time, energy, and creativity of those whose roles are impacted. These decisions are not a reflection of the talent, creativity, and the dedication of the people involved. Our momentum is not accidental. It is a result of years of dedicated effort from our teams. And in closing, HR, or Human Resources, is working directly with impacted employees to provide severance plans, benefits aligned with, of course, local laws, including pay, healthcare, coverage, and job placement resources to job placement resources to support their transition. Employees whose roles were eliminated are encouraged to explore open positions across Microsoft Gaming, where their applications will be given priority review. Thank you to everyone who has shaped our culture, our products, and our community. We will move forward with deep appreciation and respect for all who have contributed to this journey. That is Phil Spencer, of course, CEO of Microsoft Gaming. So, gentlemen, again, I want to hand the mic off, but I do want to add the new information that I was able to pull from Matt Booty. Just give me a second while the fire engine just goes by. It's ridiculous. But here we go, folks. This is what Matt Booty had to say after the Phil Spencer email became public. It says, we have made the decision to stop development on Perfect Dark and EVRERWILD, as well as wind down several unannounced projects across our portfolio. As part of this, we are closing one of our studios, The Initiative. These decisions, along with our changes across our teams, reflect a broader effort to adjust priorities and focus resources to set up our teams for greater success within the changing industry landscape. We did not make these choices lightly, as each project and team represent years of effort, imagination, and commitment. Our overall portfolio strategy is unchanged. Build games that excite our players, continue to grow our biggest franchises, and create new stories, worlds, and characters. We have more than 40 projects in current and that are active development, continued momentum on titles shipping this fall, and a strong slate headed into 2026. For those directly affected, we are working closely, once again, here's the PR speak, folks, with which HR and studio leadership to provide support, including severance, career transition assistance, and where possible, opportunities to explore roles on other teams. To everyone across our studios, thank you. Your creativity and resilience continue to define who we are, I believe in the strength of our teams and the direction that we are taking on the path ahead. Again, Hargeet, this is a lot of corporate horse shit. I'm going to say that right now. It is, I don't want to say it was written by AI, but you just never know because a lot of people lost their jobs because of it. So fuck it. Let me just say that. Look, you're a podcast professional. You are a man of great class, Hargeet Chani. You understand the business both from a corporate side of things, and you also understand the business and the and of course, the way things are because of what you did prior, and as a fan, as a fan of Xbox, as a fan of gaming. There's a lot to unpack here. There are a lot of studios affected. Like I said in the beginning, 50% of the motorsport team has been decimated. Why? Well, we don't know specifically, and from what we understand, and some people I've talked to in the background, it wasn't based on the performance of the team or the game. It was just a lot of redundancy. That's the word that was used. But when you use the word redundancy, I want you want people to understand you're talking about humans that need money to feed their families and pay their mortgages. And I don't give a shit about redundancies. What I care about is humans. So I get it. I understand the business, but Hargeet, let's try and make some sense of this because 9,100 people lost their jobs and it heavily affected Xbox Game Studios. As a matter of fact, there was somebody quoted, I think it was Andy Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have his quote in front of me, but he basically said with the loss, and I have the guy's name. I got to go into my show notes and pull it out. Let me do that real quick if I can find it here. I had it in front of me. Bloody H. All right, you know what? I'll here it is. Okay, so the guy that left, his name is Greg Mayles. Mayles is leaving Rare after 35 years. Where Andy Robinson literally said in a tweet that this loss to Rare basically condemns the studio. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. Sea of Thieves is pretty big, but losing someone of this stature is devastating. And I think he left because EVRERWILD was canceled. We don't know, so we'll know, I guess, in the coming days. Let's get your takes on this, brother.
So, all right, just to put it in normal perspectives, right, instead of emotional, things. This is not the biggest cut. This is somewhere around 1,000 or so for Xbox. I don't know what the actual number will be, but we'll get the full number. So about 1,000-ish people have been reduced in Xbox, and in January 23, they lost 1,900. In January 2024, they lost 1,900. So those were bigger cuts. So this is a smaller cut, but it's still significant, right? Looking at Turn 10, the game came out and did not do as well as it could, right? That's just a fact.
That's a fact.
It also, it's motorsport, and Sim Racer just doesn't do the same level as Arcade Racer. Let's just be realistic. Forza Horizon 5 is a smash hit. It just is. The number of people that played that game, the number of people that bought that game, the number of people who pre-ordered the upgrade and
$100 edition.
It was ridiculous. How many people wanted to play it? So that game did way better than Motorsport could ever do. And so is there redundancy? Sure. If you think about that, hey, maybe the better path is let's use the fact that Horizon actually does well and keep the Motorsport thing alive with that. Now, how they do that, I don't know. We'll see what they do with it, right? They haven't said anything beyond that. We'll probably find out in the next few months what that really means. Would I see Forza Horizon 6 before I see the next Motorsport? I think that's pretty much guaranteed. Would I think that maybe the Turn 10 team is going to help make Forza Horizon 6 happen? Yeah, I think that's going to be more likely. So we'll see where that goes, right? The initiative. What a colossal fail. The problem here with, just looking at it from an overall, just take away the emotions. This is a team they put together 2018, 17, something in that range. And their only thing was let's create something that we then hand off to Crystal Dynamics.
Yes.
And maybe it'll create a game. Apparently that has not happened. So what I'm hearing about what we saw as a trailer, was all just bullshit. There really wasn't a game there. And it's like, well, okay, if that's the case, it's been how long? How many more years before this game was going to get done? I can't really fault Xbox for saying cut your losses. When you make a new studio, this is the potential headache you run into, right? You just don't know. That's why buying somebody who's done it before is easier. If they'd bought Crystal Dynamics, that would have been a way better thing to do. But they didn't. They made a new studio, and it's hit or miss. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it really, really, really doesn't. And this is unfortunately where we are with the initiative. I remember when we were talking about possibilities for the June showcase, and I'm like, the initiatives kind of do, right? Yeah, they have Crystal Dynamics making another game, but weren't they supposed to come up with concepts and then have somebody go make? Where's the next game? We saw this a while ago. So why haven't they come up with something else? I'm like, okay, maybe they'll come up with something later. We'll see it maybe a Keeley's or something. But no, apparently they just don't have anything. And like, if that's really the case, well, then I don't really blame them for shutting them down, right? Why keep this if they're not going to do anything, right? But remember when it started, there was so much enthusiasm, all these people from across the industry, and now half those people left because they clashed, right? It is what it is, right? So like, I can't really see that being the big, huge hit, whatever. I know Perfect Dark, people wanted to see it, but if it wasn't working out, it wasn't working out. I'm actually very interested in seeing what happens with Crystal Dynamics. CD had already been cutting and laying off people on their side. Was that impacting this game? We don't even know, right? So there's a lot of like things to like unpack there that we have no insight into. So we'll see how that goes. The other game that was canceled, EVRERWILD. Am I shocked?
No, like, that's one of those things. I mean, for crying out loud, we even heard it. It was brought out into the ether that Rare didn't even know what the game was. Like,
we've been hearing that, right? And then they went back to the drawing board. Like, what's the game loop? And like, oh, we think we have a game loop. It just wasn't coalescing. Now, I haven't heard of any layoffs at Rare. No. I think, to your point, maybe like you also have to look at the guy's age and say, like, is he just like kind of like, I'm just gonna go retire? I don't want to come up with a whole new game because you know what? It'll take 6 years for it to come out, and I'll be like, I don't know, 68 years old. So like, I'm done. Like, just I'm gonna go. I mean, like, you never know. These things also happen, right? I don't know how old the guy is, but a 35-year career is pretty long. So guys got to be up there at least in the 50s, right? So, right? I don't know. Maybe he was already like 62 or something. He's like, dude, I don't want to start a new thing. Y'all have fun. I'm out. All right. So I don't know what that's about, but yeah, it could just be that. So like, you know what? We're not going to continue with EVRERWILD. It's just, you need another 6 years to get this done. Like, we're not doing this. Like, let's go on. Right. And so again, I'm not surprised because we've never seen anything after, what was it, 2020? Is that when they showed that game? It was a long time ago when we saw that first slice, and never really saw anything after that gave us an idea of what the hell is this game, right? What is the game loop? And, it's nice to have fancy like animations and graphics, but that does not do anything in the gaming world. You need to have a gameplay loop that shows something about why you'd want to play the game. That just wasn't there. And like, if they were still trying to figure it out, still trying to make it work, I'm not going to like hold that against it. So those are the two games that were canceled that we know about. Then there were some unknown games. Well, unknown games are unknown games. Like, it is what it is, right? So the Zenny one, we keep hearing rumors of a Disney license that we don't know, but okay, whatever, right? So I'm not gonna like cry that the end of the world here, Xbox is dead like baloney. And no, it's not dead. And I know everybody wants to pile on them. It's a bad day. It's a bad day across the world. It's like we've lost over like what 700, 800,000 jobs this year. It is what it is. This is the world, right? So yes, Xbox is hit 1,000-ish people. Okay, cool. 9,100 across Microsoft. Again, they're trying to do this, flatten the thing, right? Like trying to get rid of middle managers. Fair enough. Okay. And you're going to see that sprinkled across all the studios because everybody has middle managers, right? So they're all going to get let go. I don't know what that means as far as like productivity. Will it work? Will it won't? I'm going to let Microsoft figure that out. They must have reasons to go down this path. I generally don't like a lot of middle managers. I think it's better to have less bureaucracy. So if you can just empower your people to go do what they need to do, that's generally, in my opinion, better. So if that was kind of a hindrance to them and they want to get rid of it, fair enough. Right now, is that cool that those people are losing jobs? No, I'm not saying that that's great for those. No, I'm not saying that, but it is what it is, right? Like if this is a change they're making across the company, all right, fair enough. Let's see how that works out. And if it works out for Xbox to be better in productivity, great. If it opens up resources to say make Banjo-Kazooie, I'm just saying, like if they can now make games that you want to make, right? This is what happens, right? You say, hey, I take away money from here, but I put it over here, right? That is what they have to go shuffle through, right? And so if you want those other things, sometimes you have to kill the thing that just isn't getting any results, right? So is the initiative a waste? Unfortunately, it was. It was an entire waste. So that gave us nothing. Now, could something come of it? Probably not. I don't think anything's going to come of it. I don't know how much of the blame is just initiative, how much Crystal Dynamics, how much is it Embracer Group who owns them, whatever, right? I don't know where that blame lies. Just like in the background with Scalebound, like we hear all these rumors and eventually it turns out, oh, it was really on Platinum and they're the ones who really effed around and made this a problem. And Microsoft got all the blame for it, right? But we don't know if it wasn't Crystal Dynamics let go of half of their people and they couldn't really deliver. And it's like, well, okay, well, whose fault is that? I don't know, right? So I'm going to let that go. We'll figure it out in the end. I don't think the initiative worked out at all. They didn't really produce anything themselves. They were expecting other people to do it. And I don't know if that was ever going to work or not, right? So good thing it's gone, whatever. We'll move on. Fair enough. Now, as far as the further things that are coming, I don't know of anything else. Matt Booty's put out a pretty clear statement. These are the games we're canceling. This is the studio we're getting rid of. The rest of it is going to be the incidental things of managers being let go, maybe one or two, things here and there. It's just going to keep sprinkling in. But I don't think there's any other major things. I don't know that we really see the impacts in development teams or not. What did concern me, I want to say one of the QA managers said, stay at home, guys. It's going to be a bad day. And that spells AI to me. That's what that seems to me.
Yeah.
So if that's one of the teams that are impacted, I want to say it was on the ABK side, but if that happens, we'll find out eventually, right? But that could be one of the things that's happening. And there's a Microsoft initiative, not an Xbox, but a Microsoft initiative on pushing AI tech, that everybody must use AI. Okay, that could be some of this displacement, right? So some of the QA teams could be impacted simply by saying, we don't need as many people to test. We will have AI do some of the testing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that is absolutely human impact. And here it comes. Here comes AI. Right. So Microsoft's one of the big companies pushing AI. So, I'm not going to be surprised if they're like, we need to eat our own dog food. That's something that Microsoft does all the time, is eat their own dog food. If you haven't heard that term, it's what they do. They, like, everybody who works with Microsoft knows this is what they do. Eat your own dog food. They have to use their own products. So this is what they're going to be doing. We'll see. We'll see if that, I think that is the case. I think some of these layoffs are that. It's going to be like QA teams being, I don't know if totally eliminated, but certainly skimmed back to allow for AI to do some of that work and to prove it that, hey, this is something publisher XYZ you can also take advantage of. And here's our offering, and you can pay us to use our AI capability that we leverage. So you can't tell us it doesn't work because we do it, right? We'll see. We'll see how that goes, right? So, but overall, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a doom and gloom. I'm just numb to this. This is just every day. You just hear it every quarter, more layoffs. It's just the way it is. And the industry kind of grew too much during COVID and has been dwindling ever since.
Yeah.
Am I surprised by this? No. The COVID money that was being pumped by every government has been turned off. And now guess what happens? You have to rationalize those spends. And, well, you don't have the money to back it, so you just start laying people off. This is the way it is. And that's why you're seeing so many layoffs everywhere. Plus, there's other industry things going on. The whole trade war thing is an impact, right? Until companies are solidified on what the heck's going on, they're like, oh, I don't want to make any moves. I don't know where we're going to be, right? So that's fair. And until that the trade deals are done, there's going to be sluggishness. There's going to be some of these weird things happening, and people aren't going to hire. They're going to like let go of people and try to solidify their their bottom line. This is just the way it is. Unfortunate. I'm not trying to justify any of this shit. I'm just telling you what is, right? So, am I surprised by this? No, I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't do more. We were hearing a lot worse. Remember, we were saying Ninja Theory could get impacted. Compulsion games.
Yeah, we heard. Yeah, the Compulsion games were supposed to be closed. There was a lot of
rumors
nonsense.
I'm hearing. I'm like, okay, none of that came true, right? It was the games that made the most sense. EVRERWILD, I'm not shocked that EVRERWILD was canceled. Nobody knows what that game is, including the developers. And Initiative, again, they had their chance, and the partnership with CD just apparently didn't work out. So we will get a lot more information, but like, again, what I'm hearing is that trailer we saw was smoke and mirrors. It was
I literally just read that. There was a story that broke where it was right before the show went live. I have to read the article, and I want to get the backup to who actually.
So that's what I'm hearing there. So, it's like, all right, if Initiative was not getting anything done, fair enough. Like, again, you have to produce. It's one thing to make games that are interesting, like South of Midnight. Maybe it doesn't make a lot of money, but at least it's an interesting game, and they got it done. It's out. It's playable. We can get it. We can play it right now, right? So Initiative's game has been going on for years upon years. They just didn't deliver, and they don't have a cachet to back on, So it's like you can't, like, if it was Halo or Gears, you're like, okay, I'll give you a little bit of time. Fair enough. You've got this, a whole library of games that you've already put out. They don't have that. So it's like, if you're not delivering, sorry to like continue on, but basically that's kind of my feel of this. We'll see where it goes from here. Another thing to note, no losses in the hardware division,
right?
All still there. As far as I've heard, nothing in the marketing side either. So right. So none of that's changed. So they're continuing with all that stuff, right? Marketing on the Microsoft side, however, supposedly pretty impacted, but that's a totally different thing. So I'm just saying there's good here, right? It could have been worse. But there's bad, obviously. But I'm looking at it on the whole, and I'm like, I'll take it. It's not as bad as because I was hearing so many other things, and I'm like, if they do that would really suck. Like, but no, they're sticking to the norm. It is what it is. It's two studios that didn't deliver. Rare isn't being shut down, as far as I understand. They're still there. No layoffs, right? That's the current standing that I'm hearing.
No, what's starting to surface is longtime employees have left because of the cancellation of EVRERWILD. Apparently, it was a very passionate group.
Disheartening thing.
Yeah, there were, again, it's starting to trickle out. As a matter of fact, I had exactly what Andy Robinson had to say. He goes on to say, Greg is by some distance Rare's most prolific and celebrated creator, designing nearly 30 games since 1990, including Donkey Kong Country, Banjo-Kazooie, Viva Pinata, and Sea of Thieves. If confirmed, his departure is as significant as it comes, the end of Rare as we know it. And he goes on to say, according to sources and Andy worked for Rare. So Andy has a history with a lot of the people there. He goes on to say, according to the sources, executive producer Luis O'Connor, another Rare veteran whose first project was Conker's Bad Fur Day for the N64, will also be leaving the company following EVRERWILD's cancellation. So,
so that's really it, right? So it's not like Microsoft fired them. At least that's
no. They're leaving because
they're leaving on their own accord.
With the fact that this game was canceled,
Yeah, and again, that's on them. They could have done something to actually have a game move. But hey, whatever. And I don't know the internal politics of it, but from what I'm seeing, I was like, okay, yeah. And again, Initiative, it's somewhat disappointing because we have Splinter Cell coming eventually, but to me, it kind of gave me that like half Splinter Cell thing. Like I have something in that vein, but right, it's just not coming. And like, it is what it is. Crystal Dynamics, I think is great. But I don't know what's left at CD anymore. So I
Yeah,
can't
that's
really tell you
true.
what's going on there either.
That
So,
is very true.
the Embracer buying them may not have been the best idea. Too bad Xbox was in the middle of the whole ABK thing. They could not purchase them for, what was it, $300 million? My God, that is a steal to get both of those, Eidos and Crystal. But oh well, such is life. So, well, I'm hoping for the best for everything else. Like they still said, was it 40 games?
Yeah,
in
40
development?
games in active development. That's been confirmed by
God, that's a lot.
Variety, and then of course that came way of Matt Booty, who said it in his statement that they do have 40
Yep.
games in development.
Yeah, and look, to all the people who lost their jobs, of course, I'm sorry that you lost your job. It sucks. It is what it is. Hopefully, you land on your feet somewhere else, or if you're at the point where you can retire, enjoy that too. But you know what? Like, good luck to all those folks. Hopefully, they'll get something, and maybe they'll get something at Xbox, right? Or at Microsoft. They did offer, hey, if there's anything else available somewhere else, please, take advantage of that. So it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and mope about it. It is what it is. As I said, I'm kind of numb to it. This is just every quarter,
I mean, again, you have
fiscal
experience with it. So again, obviously it's going to be like, I've never experienced that. Like I worked in a field where if you got fired, you either beat somebody or you did drugs or you did something you weren't supposed to do. So likely you were a piece of shit if you got fired from the NYPD. Sorry, I had to say it, but I didn't know many people that did in my course of 21 years.
But even that, right? The NYPD, like all the I don't want to get political, but there's been a lot of this defund the police stuff where a lot of people have been let go from those kind of departments, which sucks, by the way, but it is what it is, right? So even they have been hit by layoffs because of political stature, and it is what it is, man. We need police, and I'm sick of that whole thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, this is one of those times as an Xbox fan that I'm just very disappointed I'm not going to stop supporting the brand. It's my favorite brand, folks. I'm not going to run over to PlayStation. PlayStation has done egregious things as well. We're just not talking about that as in comparison to what has happened today. We're not trying to remove blame. And Hargeet makes a lot of phenomenal points here. And he also, the way, I know there's some people in the chat like, oh man, he's capping for him. No, he's not. He's honestly have been a part of corporations that have let people go. He's been a part of situations like that. So for someone that has experience in that and who has experienced that type of situation, they're less emotional like a guy like me. But that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion and how they act on that opinion, as long as it's professional. And I thought everything Hargeet said was in fact that. Again, everyone's going to react differently. But first of all, before we bring Crispy Bomb, thanks so much, Kay Asante, for being here. And of course, we want to welcome in Korkenstein, who obviously is going to have something to say on the back end of this conversation. And again, folks, maybe this isn't the show you were hoping to tune into. It's not the show I was hoping to produce. But it is breaking news. It is happening. It has happened. There's a lot of information to get out there. There's a lot of emotions behind what has been said and what is available for you to go read yourself. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. Again, I'm sure that a lot of people were looking forward to the 4th of July, getting a pink slip before the holiday. Not something they would have been hoping for. We did know about this early last week from a couple of stories, but now it has been confirmed. Crispy Bomb, let's bring you in. And again, I know that you usually lead with emotion, but I'm sure you're going to have important things to say. Let's get your thoughts on everything that has happened and transpired for Xbox and Xbox Game Studios.
I'm going to be honest with you. The one thing that I don't like is that Microsoft doesn't understand marketing, and maybe you should have fired some of those people. Okay,
because you're not wrong.
You're not doing. We like your new direction, regardless of how hard it was to figure out what your new direction is. Okay, because you're not great at telling us what you're actually doing. At this point, you might as well come out within the next month and say exactly what you're doing for next gen, because you have absolutely stepped on the biggest rake you will ever step on. And I'm going to tell you why it is. Number one, and I'm going to tell you, I agree with you, Hargy. I agree. EVRERWILD, I don't know what the heck that game was. I agree with you guys. Okay? I really do. Turn 10. Lackluster as far as hype for the game. Now, maybe it's because Gran Turismo was out for so long. And I still say, hey, Sony, you want a little something here? Maybe release that other places because people seem to still like it. Okay, like I'm not saying that Forza Motorsport is not selling well. What I'm saying is there was no hype around it, none. You know what had hype? You know what really put me over the edge of, and let's be honest here. Matt Booty and Phil, that it might have been AI generated. I don't know. It might have been just, somebody writing the same script for both of you. It's unacceptable. You guys tout yourself as like gamers and wanting to see new creative stuff and all these things. We're talking about a legacy IP here. We're talking about Rare's IP, by the way, people. Okay? Perfect Dark and Quadruple A. Everybody remember that one? The Initiative. And then we saw it, 5 years ago? Oh, shoot. Oh, and it actually looked like it was doing something. Regardless of what people figure out after, let's look at the actual tea leaves and say, man, people were hyped for this game. Even at the original announcement, people got hyped for it. You know why? Because it's a legacy IP and it scratched the itch that maybe sometimes you look at and you say, man, I haven't felt that in 15 years. I don't understand why you would do such a thing. And here is what I will say. Number one, if you close the studio and move the IP somewhere else, because I'm a Gears head, and guess who didn't get touched? I'm just saying, because they play ball, and they will do whatever is necessary to continue to play ball. So why wouldn't you take that and throw it to somebody else? Why wouldn't you? And we look at the APK deal, and I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the stands, I guess, had a point now. And I didn't ever argue with them. There's no clips on the internet or nothing. But they said this is going to change the way they think. And they were absolutely right. Some of them that weren't trying to be complete douchebags, yeah, that's what happened. Okay? And it has. I mean, they are touting. I mean, what was the end of the show on the showcase? Call of Duty. They are going, see, there's one thing to go third party. It's another thing to take a game, because I'm a gamer. I'm not Plastic Box Warrior. I'm a gamer. But take a game that people were hyped for and just eliminate it. And I truly believe that if this was years ago, it would have went away. Now people are questioning, why do I even get involved in Xbox? Because it seems like they're just all corporate. And I work for a corporation, by the way, 17 years of my life. So it's a long time for, I'm going to be 38 this year. Just think about that. That's half my life. Okay. We have to realize that even though they're having record profits and everything else, this is also why they are going to be at least a $4 trillion company. But how do they do this when they don't have any good marketing at all? They don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm going to be honest with you, Xbox, Microsoft. You guys are just like, hey, here's a rake. Let me step on it. Let me get it smashed in my face. It is unacceptable because you should know better by now. to do all of this all at once and throw it all in everybody's face, unless you have something great at the end. And honestly, what I've seen right now is not going to supersede this in people's brains for a period of time. This isn't just going to go away. People are going to be talking about this. And the only thing you have as a leg to stand on is that, hey, maybe Sony, and trust me, Nintendo right now is, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm never buying a Switch 2 as of now. Never buying a Switch 2. And I'm talking from looking at content creators that have worked with Nintendo for years. I'm not buying a Switch. Brazil is suing them, by the way. So let's not act like
brick systems at will. Yep.
And that I agree. And I know like people give Alex a lot of shill BS. I'm gonna tell you right now, he has called out Microsoft, he has called out Sony, and now he's calling out Nintendo about it. And I respect that man for that. And I'm just gonna tell you this. I am sick and tired of this company not knowing what the heck they're doing, because it feels like there's no direction. And the one saving grace I see is that the studios that deliver have been untouched, like Obsidian, like the Coalition. Now, everybody says, oh, they haven't released a Gears in years. Well, guess what? They're releasing something this year, and they're also the greatest one to come in and help people. Okay, because Phil, I need my A team there. The A team he's talking about is the Coalition. So they're probably never going to be touched unless they really screw up somehow. Other than that, what do you got? Change the studio. It's not 343. It's Halo Studio now. Why'd you do that? To at least soften the blow of getting rid of people. Okay, that's really what it was. I mean, I love the fact that we can talk about this. I really do, but it's disrespectful to the people that lost their job, because at the end of the day, this is going to happen so much worse very soon because of AI. It really is. And to throw, I thank you so much, that PR speak. Like, let's be real. Come on. Whoever wrote that for Phil and Matt Booty, let's be real. Okay. You are going with AI. And I'm going to be honest with you, AI ain't ready. And I see people making AI generate. Everybody that makes an AI generated, little GIF or whatever else, you're a part of the problem. I'm just telling you. You are disrespecting the people that created the original content that the AI is using. That's what you're doing. Because I'm going to tell you right now, most of the AI is just, we found something. We can make this and that. We can do this. AI is not ready for a new age. It's not. And it won't be for another couple of years. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen some of these AI generated things. It's not ready. It's not. You could tell immediately. Now, when you can't tell, there's going to be another problem that comes up. Until then, I think we're at the point where it's just like, we're going to be $4 trillion at some point, maybe this year or next year. Let's lay people off. Let's be stupid. Let's put bad news out there. Because at least we will say this. They will put the news out there, regardless of how it makes us feel. But seriously, you cancel a game that had hype. I'm going to be honest with you. Perfect Dark had hype. I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, damn!"
It was a lot of people's game of the show when it was shown last year. Yeah,
and it's just, and it looked like it progressed. So, if it comes out that it was all Fox, what was it made by AI? That's the way I look at it. There are developers behind this. Sure, Crystal D thing, I understand that. Embracer, I'm gonna be honest with you, they ain't doing no better. Okay, but let's be serious here. Didn't Microsoft absorb everything, take the IP? I'll be honest with you. throw it to one of the great companies like Playground, like the Coalition, Obsidian. You got a lot of them, and say, can you finish this game, please? Can you do that? Okay. Because there's a concept here. People like it. Why not at least not cancel the game, but say we are moving it to a different studio, or we're moving it to just in a different way? Because they've been doing this for a while. There's remakes and remasters that are made by companies I've never heard of. To be honest with you, okay, and they have hit well, they have sold well, they have done well. Now maybe they're going back to complete nostalgia and they're gonna start revamping all these older IPs. Can you find a middle ground? Okay, because technically Perfect Dark is an older IP. Yes, you revamped it, but let's be serious here. This is worse than Scalebound. It is unacceptable, in my opinion. And the way you did it is disingenuous to the creators that even made it happen to showcase it twice. It's disrespectful.
I mean, listen, brother. You know, again, great points all around. For me personally, I'm right there with Crispy. The one that hurts the worst for me is Perfect Dark. One, because I remember bringing that game home after hearing, and you folks, this is just old man talking. You know, anyone that remembers the N64 equates some of the best times, at least for me personally, was 007. But that changed a little bit when Perfect Dark came out. And I know we're talking 100 years ago. I get it. It probably doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. But N64 I had such a great time with that with my friends, on one TV, on a CRT that was 36 inches big. It was, tiny to today's TVs. I've put pictures out with me and my friends that we were all huddled over watching it. It's honestly, it's a sad day for a lot of reasons. Again, Hargeet brought up a tremendous amount of great points. So did Crispy Bomb. But now we got to get into what Kay Asante has to say. Kay, I know you've been sitting here. You and I have been talking since this all occurred this afternoon. We've talked a couple of times privately. You have some thoughts, some theories. And then we'll bring in Korkenstein. And, of course, then on the back end of the conversation, folks, we're going to just kind of, be shooting the shit, so to speak, about what happens next. How does Xbox as a platform raise from the ashes ultimately? But Kay Asante, let's talk shop, man. What are your thoughts on today's
I just want to let you
devastating
know
news?
real quick.
Sure.
I just want to let you know that Microsoft's trying to snipe me right now. This thing is losing its mind. This is cool.
Oh wow!
It's
okay,
like my entire surface has just went crazy. I can't even use my mouse. This is wild. So I'm probably gonna drop off, but love you guys.
Love you too, brother. We'll talk soon, bro. I'll give you a call tomorrow. All right. Well, listen. As Crispy Bomb takes a step to the right, Kay Asante, let's talk shop, brother. Bad news across, and unfortunately for you, you kind of know some people that might have been affected, bro. Uh-oh. Did Kay now the stream is still live, yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, Kay Asante might have stepped away because I don't see any messages. We will, unless he's having a problem with his mic, because he's been having an issue with his mic. Let's bring in Korkenstein. Now, Korkenstein, you are a man of the people. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of engaging things to say. Let's get your thoughts on what has happened, brother.
Yeah, first, I do want to give, my I guess condolences and all that to the people that have lost their jobs. It's a very real thing, and it's absolutely horrible. And just like similar things that you guys said, if you guys are using this as an aha moment or a gotcha,
disgusting.
I've already seen it, and out of respect, I won't call their names out, but I've seen it from a few prominent people already that are known to be trollish. And it's just disgusting. It's just absolutely horrible. Let's remember, man, these are real people. They got families. They got sons, daughters, wives, husbands, whatever it may be. And now they're looking at that livelihood in danger. Let's be respectful, guys. With that said, I don't think anyone has the right to be angry at this from what people have been showing, other than the people that are affected. I've been seeing a lot of performative anger coming out from a lot of people. And it's just horrible. I get it being upset and disappointed, but I'm seeing people, oh, all of Xbox needs to be shut down. This person needs to be fired. This person needs to be fired. It's not that simple. I get it. You're upset and you're disappointed. Both valid. You wanted Perfect Dark. I wanted Perfect Dark. Now it's not coming. I'm upset and I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to be angry about any of this. I kind of agree with what Hargeet was saying. Is, you know, it's tough as in the industry right now for everybody, not just Xbox. And people think, oh, it's $1 trillion company, they just have unlimited funds, and it's not necessarily the case. While they could be $1 trillion company, they could also have $1 trillion in, you know, operating costs and overhead, things like that. It's not just a one-to-one. And sometimes, you know, this happens, especially in the industry with AI taking over, and with the creative aspect of trying to get something unique and special out there. You know, we're reaching a point in the industry where a lot of those new ideas are kind of hard to come by. And it sucks. You know, you have to be out on the forefront of innovation and technology and gameplay design, and it's always kind of changing, and it's hard to lock in what is going to capture audiences now that maybe 7-8 years ago sounded really great. Now, not so much. Like, you got to look at Concord when, you know, that was in development at the time. That was all the rage. People were going crazy for it. People wanted, you know, it was a great, solid idea. But then as development continued and things progressed, the industry changed. Now you're getting something out and nobody's like, okay, we're over this part of the gaming, you know, genre. We need something new. We need something fresh. We already have 1,000 of these. You know, who knows? Maybe that might have been the case with Perfect Dark and with EVRERWILD. You got to think they just had Avowed. They just got Oblivion. They just, you know, they're having these major RPGs come out. And it's like, are you really going to try and give another RPG in the same vein? You know, and maybe that just wasn't unique enough to, you know, differentiate itself from everything else. And you could, you know, it's either cancel it and keep it on, you know, in the back burner, or you release it and then now it's, you know, Xbox stepping on rakes again. They have horrible games. This game sucks. Why can't they ever get a game right? It's a lose-lose. You know, it's just, you know, same thing with Perfect Dark. I rather them cancel Perfect Dark than release a horrible Perfect Dark. You see, get what I'm saying? Like, I
mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. We don't want another Redfall.
Do you really want to turn? Even Crispy was saying, even you were saying, Boom, like you were huddled around the TV, and this is a beloved franchise. Do you really want them to screw it up? And maybe that's what they saw. Hey, this isn't looking great, and this is a beloved franchise. Are we really gonna, just to make a profit, send this out to die? And it's not great. We don't know. You know, it still sucks. It's horrible. I wanted it, but I want a good Perfect Dark. And if it means that this has to get shelved to maybe someday have it come back out again, who knows if that's ever will. But I don't want them screwing up Perfect Dark. And it sounds like they were having a rocky development time with it, possibly. So who knows the reason inside? We really don't. It sucks. And yeah, I will say, I don't think this is an Xbox stepping on rake situation, because I think this stuff had to happen for them to continue on in the vein that they're doing. I think what sucks, what I think is a bigger rake step, is they didn't get ahead of it before, you know, Schreier got ahead of it, before all these other news outlets got ahead of it. And then they're writing the layoff narratives. They're freaking out people at that, you know, I think how Microsoft actually, or Xbox, handled it was poor in that sense. You know, these people are hearing from an outside source that, yeah, you might be getting let go soon. And that's terrifying. And it's just I think it's a mismanagement in communication internally on their part. This is a step that might, I don't know. We have to see exactly what's going to happen. If there is more coming out, we'll see. I could see with the way the industry's changing. I mean, Mind's Eye, they just had not a horrible release, but the game was really bad. They're looking at layoffs right now too, mass layoffs. Everybody in the industry is getting hit by this, and a lot of it is because of COVID. A lot of it is because of AI generative technology now. You know, and that's just the way the industry's changing, and it sucks. Me as a consumer, though, I'm still happy with Xbox. I'm still getting the games. I'm still eating very well. I'm still having monthly releases, very great releases into Game Pass. Now, I'm not saying this is an excuse or anything. I'm not trying to excuse what happened today or you know, I guess legitimize, you know, the layoffs or you know, sidestep. I think it's horrible. I really, really do. If in an ideal world, we could all be employed, we could all be doing what we love. But this is why capitalism is absolute dog shit, especially in America.
100%. Yeah.
And it's people over
I have to
profits.
disagree with that, but that's okay.
Well, I think in the mindset of, you know, from the little people up, it's in the mindsets of it's always going to be profits over people. And we've developed an economy based
But that's
off
the
of
way it is,
that.
dude. What other option is there? In any other option, you wouldn't have gaming.
No, I agree. No, definitely. And I 100% agree. It's a catch-22, you know. I just think it's just the way that we've set up our, you know, our society.
I think a lot of people
has to be
also
better
equate like
protections.
Wall Street as capitalism, and Wall Street is not capitalism.
No,
right?
it's not.
Capitalism is just open exchange, right?
Yes.
Wall Street is very different, and there are people who are investing and then they expect a return, right? That's a whole different level.
Yeah,
of
that's
annoyance,
that's economics 102 rather than 101.
yeah,
right?
exactly. Oh, and quick aside, one thing I'll note, like you were saying about the Jason Schreiers and all that, like there is in Europe there are works councils, so you have to ahead of time tell them that you're going to lay off people, and that can become publicly available. I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay, yeah, that's why I kind of figured. I know in UK and Europe they have different laws on like like how we have warn letters here, kind of thing.
Yeah, under a certain amount it's okay, but when it gets beyond a certain amount, you have to let them know, right? It's mainly so that they know that they have to handle the influx of, say, unemployment and all that stuff, right, and then help those people. But yeah, if you're above a certain number of people you're laying off, you have to let them know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I still think it sucks. I mean, even though they have no control over it. You know, it's just, yeah, it's still a horrible situation. But yeah, I you know, it's just, it sucks with the way we are as a society right now. And I wish that, you know, everybody could have something where they could do what they love, and you can't right now. And it's horrible. I mean, and I wish the best for these people.
Yeah, that's all you can do at this point. You got to hope that that they can find work in the field that they have studied. Probably spent a lot of money on school, probably still paying off those school loans. So you'd like to believe that a lot of these people can stay in the industry that they have dreamt on working in. Unfortunately, Hargeet has said this more times than I can. If I have $1 for every time he said it, I'd have 20% down, because he always says that these black hole games ultimately have. I mean, I don't want to say it has collapsed the industry, but there was a report today that had nothing to do with the layoffs from Microsoft that confirmed that 30+% of gamers are buying less games and will not buy a new game in 2025. You can thank Fortnite, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, PUBG. You can Marvel Rivals now. It's the free-to-play model has imploded, you know, like traditional spending in gaming. And again, you have, I mean, funny, I had a guy in the chat a couple of days ago, I don't remember who it was, literally told me, hey, Boom, I know you like to buy the skins and stuff, but I haven't bought a skin since Call of Duty Black Ops 6 left, you know, since it came out. So, Keasante, are you there, kind sir?
I am indeed here, sir. Yes.
All right, brother. Well, you know what? I don't know if you stepped away, but we got to get your thoughts on this, because obviously everyone on the panel has had great opinions.
Go ahead. Ask that question again, sir.
No, what I was saying is that, you know, we've heard from everybody on the panel. On back end of the show, we're going to get what happens next, right? Because obviously that's what everybody's wondering. Do we
Yeah.
just? I know a lot of us are going to go back to playing games on Xbox, and I'm still playing games on Xbox right now. I'm not throwing the company to the curb. I'm, again, I have a platform. It's big enough to get out here in front of the people and have a conversation. This is one of those things that I think that you have to have this kind of conversation. Some people are led by emotion. I was a little bit emotional to open up the show, but that's because, I put myself in the position of these people that lost their jobs. And I absolutely feel for some of these people because, again, 2025, if it proves anything, it's harder and harder to put food on the table with a job. Now some of these people do not have one. And again, I understand people like, what are you supposed to do with games that are failing? You're supposed to cancel those games. This, again, this is not going to be the conversation moving forward tonight, but there is going to be a management conversation with who the hell is minding the store if all of this is going on. That's a question that we will cover another time. But Santa, let's talk about what has happened today.
So, I mean, my great brothers on the panel here have really put it so succinctly, and they have really put it out there. So I won't go too far and further in that specific direction because I agree wholeheartedly with what has already been said, which is it is corporate being corporate. It is disgusting. It is what we know it to be, right? Where I fall is, I feel like these are one of those moments where as much as we hate to do it, we have to stop and take it a little seriously because like there are people who lost their jobs, as you guys are saying. I know some people who lost their jobs.
Yeah,
I know some folks, who aren't going to be able to put food on the table, or they're going to ask that question. I've had that happen to me at a certain point in my career where right when I needed it, right when it was important, that's when that's when I was laid off. It does something to you, right? It's a very, very, like, it does some psychological, something to you to a point that at some point, and that was a memory, right? But it's one of those things that it can be very traumatic. So those out there right now who are experiencing this thing for the first time, we wanna hold our brother and our sister's hands and make sure that we let them know it's okay and that they'll be all right. At the end of the day, as much as because I'm of two minds of this. Am I surprised? No, I'm not. I'm definitely not surprised because there is room for optimization in their organization as far as a financial perspective is concerned. And even now there's still room for more optimization in their environment, right? So, like, I'm not surprised. Does it make it good? Absolutely not. I think this was a very disgusting execution in the way they did it and how they did it and all that. It could have been done in a more translated, very more transactional, like slow-paced way. Instead, they ripped the Band-Aid off and how many was it? Like 6,000 people job, or was it 9,000? I thought
today it was 9,100 is what
9,100.
But again, exactly. Car Geek had confirmed that it's 1,000 people from Xbox. The rest of the 8,100, which is, my God, that's a lot of humans, are from he said something about to the effect the middle managers, a lot of middle management, which is he finds redundant. And again, he would know because he worked with them, and that's a lot of the losses came the way of that.
Yeah. No, look. I just think that these days Microsoft themselves bring themselves to this, right? A lot of people have some critical takes for them, right? And sometimes I think it's unfounded. Sometimes I think it's unnecessary. Sometimes I think the fix is in, or the tax, as some people call it, right? But then other times they bring themselves to the firing squad, so to speak.
Yeah.
And in this instance, this is them bringing themselves to this. Yes, I understand that business is going to be business, and none of these things are surprising to me, but they need to understand that when they are in a retail business and they want to be successful in the retail business, these perceptions are very, very, very important, right? This is not a enterprise business where you're needed, right? If you let people feel a certain way about you, they will no longer want to give you any money to purchase their wares, right? That's just the way it is, And right now, these moves, I've heard people say very similar things to the effect of, "Look, man, I just don't trust these people anymore." Right? Even if a game that looks like Perfect Dark was supposedly playable and was canceled, right? Then we can never trust anything anyone says or anything that anybody sees, because yes, it's true, it's going to be business, but it's causing the retail space, the users, to be very, very jaded is the point, basically. So yeah, for me, I'm not necessarily surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more down the line, but they need to learn to thread that needle a lot better than they have been. So that's just it for me.
I mean, it's fair points. It's a fair point across the board. Listen, folks, again, this is one of those podcasts that, normally I'm upbeat and I'm very excited to talk about gaming because I'm a gamer. I've been gaming for over 40 plus years, and I'm going to go and continue to, play video games like I've done before. But I do think that there are opportunities where sometimes you just got to put the gaming to the side and have these adult conversations. And maybe it's not going to be the sexiest of podcasts. I know a lot of people in here are like, "Hey, man, what you worried about? It's not your money." Folks, I want to shout out Paris Lillian here. He said something on Twitter that I think has become absent of a lot of people because they're faceless cowards on social media, especially someone in this chat right now. Where the fuck did the empathy for human beings go? I understand it's not your money. I understand that this is a business. I'm not a boob. Listen, I understand business. But my God, can we take 5 fucking minutes to kind of say, let's be adults here and have some empathy for a really shitty situation? I'm just saying. I'm not asking you to cure cancer or give me any of your loot. I'm saying, where did the empathy go? Because it seems to be where if you are a letter in this, you got an effing letter for your name or some sort of anime with their tits hanging out, that's probably that's probably why you're saying what you're saying. So if you're one of those people and you want to give me the big FU, that's fine. But let's put on the big boy pants just for a second, right? We don't have these conversations that often. We have them when they're necessary. Today, this is a necessary conversation. If you don't think so, then you probably tuned into the wrong podcast. I'm sure you can go find someone that is celebrating this and using it as console war. I'm sure you can. But I don't want to go overboard. I do want to catch up on Super Chats. And then what I want to do quickly is run down the panel to find out what happens next. Where do they go next? How affected is Xbox Game Studios? And, everyone's answer is going to be different. I'll give you mine in a second. But let me start off with Highlander Grim 0351 drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, "My heart goes out to the people who lost their jobs. As a gamer, this sucks. I'm giving Xbox a break for a while. #Xbox major L today." I mean, brother, you're not wrong for saying that. It's definitely again, some people say it's not a rake step. It needed to happen. These studios weren't producing. What are they supposed to do? I get all of that, but ultimately, it's just, man, they were on such a great streak. A lot of great news, hardware roadmap with excitement, first party roadmap with excitement, and this is it's just bad, man. It's just bad. JJ saying 117 in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says Perfect Dark canceled was not surprising after bad reports before the reveal at the showcase last year. I do remember that. At least State of Decay and Blade are spared. State of Decay 3 has been untouched, according to Jez Corden of Windows Central, who actually got that confirmed. That's not like a rumor. It's they're in good shape.
But there were some layoffs at the studio, right? And I assume it's the same flattening thing or whatever. But
I don't specifically know if there were layoffs at Undead Labs. I did not see that. But then again, there's a lot of processing to do with this, especially when you're trying to put this into verbal format. I don't recall.
The whole story is still developing. We don't even know if there's still some fallout still to come as far as other studios that are affected. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we know, what so far from what I understand, Undead Labs untouched, but that could change. Max City Entertainment drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, can you guys clear up some of the noise the ponies and the media did? Blitzkrieg of misguided and misinformation. Now everybody believes the sun is blue. There was a report that Phil Spencer was retiring at the start of the next generation, the next console generation. Even Microsoft got involved with that, and they have confirmed that is not, in fact, he's not retiring for any time soon, is what it said. Jez Corden also, again, Jez has been super busy today, confirmed that as well. Markman05 drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, I don't think this is an Xbox only issue, and it's not. Hargeet could confirm that this is something that's going on all over the world, literally right now. But we're gamers, right? And it's not going on with Nintendo, and it's not going on with PlayStation for right now. This is the big Xbox news. And the only reason why we're talking about it is because, well, this is an Xbox Game Pass. An Xbox game conversation. Now, if people get laid off from Ford, I feel bad for that, but I'm not going to talk about it because, we're not car enthusiasts here. We're not going to talk about cars, but appreciate the conversation, Mark, man. Appreciate the generosity as always. J-Mac drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, Xbox is just restructuring. There's nothing to see here. This play works for Sony. I'm sure it works for Xbox. I see what you're saying, brother. I know someone in the chat had said, I wish I would have remembered that, in a week from now, we're all going to forget about this, and maybe some of us will. But, again, we're still here today, and I think that it's still an important conversation to have. Artist Gamer, thanks so much for being here, brother. Great to see you here. He says this after dropping a very generous $10 super chat. He says, I survived the layoffs. Depressing news all around in the world, Boom. I see your vid. I want to say that the next title is much improved, much balanced, and a ton of fun. I hope that is some good news. Indeed, it is. Again, you can always DM me, artists. We could talk privately, but appreciate the generosity. And of course, I'm so glad that you were here to talk and you're unscathed. Traybone408 _ drops. He's been a channel member for 14 months, brother. That's very kind of you, Traybone. Super appreciate the generosity. He goes on to say, it sucks. But to be honest, Rare didn't know what EVRERWILD was and the initiative. We knew there were problems happening. Not surprised. Just hate the fake rumors. Yeah, again, I think no one put it better than Hargeet. Honestly, he's 100% right. When you look at, again, no one is discounting what has happened or the people that were affected or the games that were canceled. But when you look at what happened with the initiative, this was something that was announced in 2018. It was supposed to be this quadruple A studio of studios that brainstormed the game and then handed that brainstormed game and that idea off to a studio for them to develop. It sounds great on paper, but ultimately the execution was terrible, and we didn't get a game out of it. As for Rare, Rare's frustrating. They're a frustrating studio because they have legacy IP that they absolutely refuse to even mention. They won't even talk about it. You mentioned Banjo-Kazooie, and someone from Rare gets angry. And I've actually heard that and I don't know. And, again, this is just rumors, but we know that they don't want to touch anything from their heyday, which is odd if you've been with the studio for as long as you had, and you've had these legacy IPs that have done really well. Sea of Thieves, super rocky, great. If people that enjoy it, awesome, right? If you enjoy Sea of Thieves, I just not for me. And then this EVRERWILD thing, years in development, and again, the one of the biggest talking points is, well, Rare doesn't really know what they have. That's odd. Management issues galore. What can I say? But we'll see, brother. Thank you so much, Traybone. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat. Torino, thanks so much for being here, brother, and thank you for the generosity. He goes on to say, layoffs are hard. I was laid off by CBS television in 2000 during the Survivor era, praying for these people to recover. Brother, I mean, again, that's he understands the business. He understands what happened. Hopefully you landed on your feet now. It's been a minute since 2000, but hopefully you're doing much better. Torino, thank you so much for the generosity. Lastly, Chris in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says Halo Studios got affected at least a little bit. Seems mainly in the streamlining management. Just heartless, man. I mean, any layoffs are bad. And again, I think Keosante has confirmed something I heard, that this is not the end of the news. Other studios will, in fact, be effective, but I don't know if there's going to be any studio. I think the studio closures and the game cancellations are what they are.
Yeah.
But you know what? Before we we have only a few minutes. Normally it's a 90-minute show. I don't want to, drag this out for, just for views, because we're not here to do that. We're here to discuss a conversation. Harky, what happens now with Xbox Game Studios? I mean, in the most simplest form possible, because they have to recover from this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're in that bad a shape, right? So the assumption of they're in dire straits, I don't know what the feelings are there. I'm sure they're not happy. However, I don't know what the impacts are, right? From what I understand, they're streamlining management.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. You're closing initiative. Okay, I mean, look, anybody who's been in development, I mean, Corky, you've been in development, right? Like,
yep.
If you haven't produced something in 7-8 years, at some point you got to cut your losses. It just is what it is. It's a new studio that just never got its feet under it, and like their proposition was just weird to begin with. Like, we come up with an initiative to, give you a game, and then somebody else takes it and makes it happen. Okay, that is an interesting, I guess, studio type quadruple A thing. I don't know. It was a weird option to begin with. A lot of turmoil. We heard a lot about the people who came and went. Like, they did not like the culture there. It is what it is, right? So I'm not surprised. EVRERWILD again, I'm not surprised with EVRERWILD. So
yeah, too many chefs, not enough cooks, basically.
Yeah, it's just whatever happened there happened there. So I'm not sure about the recovery thing. I think they're okay. It's just the morale thing, and I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue. I hope they come up with new things that they can start announcing again to bring the morale back up, right? We'll see how they message it internally. The real problem isn't us. We're consumers. It's really the employees. They need to feel like they aren't in trouble, right? So I think that's kind of the main thing, and that's really on them. The problem that happens is if your morale is low, you're going to produce crappy products. And in this specific arena, in creativity, when you make a game or some form of art, you kind of want that not in your head, because you want to focus on the creativity, right? And if you're bogged down by, am I going to have a job tomorrow? It cuts back on the ability to do that, right? You want to have an open mind and not be worried, right? So we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully it's not a big deal, but that is kind of the big, takeaway from this from me. It's more the employees. Look, we're still going to get our games. 10 days from now, everybody's going to forget about this, and they're going to move on to, oh, this game came out in Game Pass. That's just the reality of it, right? Fine, whatever. But I ultimately, those people who work there, this is their livelihood, and they're going to be far more concerned. What happens next quarter? What happens the quarter after that? What happens next fiscal? That's going to be the thing that they have to kind of thread. So I hope they do something to assuage their fears. But the problem is, as I've said, and why I'm numb to it, this is just normal. Every fiscal, every quarter, there's always this layoff baloney. And this, like Corgan said, what you were talking about capitalism is really, it's Wall Street. That is the problem. It's like they're always looking for more profit per share, and that drives this mentality instead of just being a company that produces something that people want to buy, right? And so that unfortunately, and this is the biggest one, right? It's literally the largest market cap company. They're always going to be driving for more profits. Just
and they are the biggest platform in gaming. Like, let's call a spade a spade. They are. They have
as well. Fair enough, right? But this is why all of them are like this, right? All the ones that have a bottom line that reports to Wall Street, that Sony does this and Nintendo does this, but like Nintendo is actually one of the most, I guess, the better platform as far as their employees. I think they do a much better job with their employees. You rarely hear about any like layoffs. They'd rather cut like corporate salaries for their senior staff than to affect their employees. That's a really cool thing. They have a singular focus, so it works out for them, which is great. But all the other ones, it's all EAs and the Ubisofts and the Take-Two, they're all like this, right? It's just the way it is, unfortunately. So, but I'm more worried about the employee part of it. I hope that they can assuage those fears. But look, everybody's going to be worried about this no matter what. It is what it is. It's year after year after year after year after year. They just keep doing the same thing, right? Cut. And it's like, well, okay, you're going to have to fix that. And then this rumor comes out about like the succession planning for the next person to replace Phil, which, by the way, is normal. This is like you do these things because you want to make sure.
It's probably going to be Sarah if I had to take a stab at it. Yeah,
which apparently is what's happening. But something could happen to Phil, right? We don't know, right? He's also getting on in age, but something could happen to Phil. What happens next to Xbox, right? So anybody at that level, they're going to be saying, "What is the succession plan?" Right? We don't want to have a single point of failure, as it were, in Phil. What is the succession plan moving forward? And now they have that opportunity. They're not firing Phil at all, right? So it's like, who do you think should replace you? Let's get the plan in place and make sure whatever the current vision is continues, right? So they're just planning that out. I don't know when he leaves. Paris had mentioned that he thinks it would make sense for him to go after the next gen console comes out. Fair enough. I mean, he's getting on in age, right? I don't know what his plans are as far as how long he wants to keep working. Once you get up to a certain level, maybe you just say, like, why do I need to keep doing this? Like, now it could be that he just loves it and he wants to keep doing it and he wants to work till he's 70. Good for him. It's up to him, right? So we'll see what he wants to do, right? So, but he is getting on to that point where, like, in the next 5, 7, 8 years, he's at that retirement age. And like, what do you do? Right? So they do need to start planning that out. That's fair. But yeah, I'm more concerned about the employee morale right now. Let's see what happens in a week or two, maybe a month, how things pan out. Hopefully they get a bunch of wins as well, right? So we'll see what happens.
I mean, it's great. I mean, that's a phenomenal point. Okay, Santa, let's bring you in, brother. What does Xbox? Well, more importantly, how does Xbox Game Studios move on from this? Because this is, I mean, again, it's some. I think we're all agreeing that when you take a step back, yes, the ultimate crappiness of this is people lost their jobs. That's the ultimate, and it should be the talking point. But when you do get into the numbers of it, a lot of the what they did cancel, they were having problems with development. They had to figure out a way to stop the bleeding, and I guess cutting these games and closing one studio that has not put out a game since it was announced is the way to do it. What are your thoughts, man?
So here's the thing. I honestly don't think there's a problem here. Well, okay, there's a problem. Obviously, there's a problem. Obviously, the human toll and all of that, right? Clearly, that is the case. And that's what we're discussing here. So what they need to do, I actually feel like they're doing it already now anyway, because in 2 months or so, I'm going to go to Gamescom, and I bet, like they did last year, they're going to take over the town. It's going to be this huge full court press. It's going to be game after game after game. And now that they're running on all cylinders as far as game releases, I'm expecting that they're going to show off some stuff there as well, right? In addition to possibly show off the ROG Ally X and all the Xbox Ally X and all the other stuff. So basically what I think their strategy and what they should do, and the strategy that it looks like they're employing, is to just put the dirty laundry out there in the front, let it fester, let it stink, and then let people get over it. Because in 2 months, it'll just going to be game after game, and this conversation and that conversation and all the other crazy things that they know they're going to hit people with. And we're going to have to move on. We're going to have to move on because there'll be so much to talk about then as well. So I think they're just giving us our time to go through our stages, but ultimately it won't matter because they've already set themselves up for success. Now, Gamescom shows up and everything looks half baked, right? it shows up and everything's half baked. It just doesn't look like they're showing it enough, or they're not giving people the dates they want, or something like that. Then this conversation will never ever end. Like never end. But show well, like you've been showing, and people will turn the page immediately. There's not much they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, strong points of view. And lastly, Cork and Simon, before we get everyone out of here, get outros and read the last couple of super chats. What are your thoughts? How does Xbox Game Studios move on from this?
I think like they said, just keep doing what you're doing. They've had solid releases this year. They keep pushing, new metrics, new numbers. I think what they're doing, and Kay Asante has a great point as well, that, if they falter with like a horrible release or, maybe like a poor showing at Gamescom or something like that, then yeah, I could see, this not stopping. But the second they release a major hit or, there's a big showcase, they do it every year too. If you've ever noticed, the last 2 or 3 years, they have negative news right before the showcase. Showcase hits, everybody forgot what was just said, 2 weeks, a week prior. I think the morale at Xbox Studios, internally, maybe a little hit. It depends. I think a lot of people know what the industry is and how fickle it is. So morale may be a little down right now there. But I think as a consumer, I don't think they need to do anything, for me at least. Like I said, as long as I keep getting Game Pass games at a reasonable price, and I'm still able to play my Xbox and play my games where I can. I don't think they need to change anything for me as a consumer. Internally, maybe a little bit, yeah, kind of boost morale a bit internally, but as a consumer, I think they're still doing what they're doing and it's working.
Yeah, well, great points all around, folks. We have we had over 1,100 people watching live across Twitch, Xbox, X, and of course YouTube. If you already subscribed, please hit the like button on your way out the door. And if you're not already subscribed, well, we'd appreciate you helping us move that needle closer to 17,000 subscribers. And we are currently a pinch away from 16.1. So we have a while, ways to go, so to speak. But again, if you're not subscribed and you enjoyed the conversation, and if you enjoy consistent, content creation, I do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we do have great shows. We do have great conversations. We have great panels that we had here today. JD Gamer drops a very generous $5 super chat. JD goes on to say the people from Rare's heyday are off at Playtonic making games that resemble games of Rare's past. So is Rare what Rare was? Maybe not. Sea of Thieves is great. Listen, I'm glad you enjoy it. Yes, obviously Yooka-Laylee is a game that was made by Playtonic is filled with almost all ex-Rare employees. They made Yooka-Laylee, as a love letter to, of course, Banjo-Kazooie. And I bought every one of those games because I love that studio and I love Yooka-Laylee as much as I love Banjo-Kazooie. But appreciate the generosity, brother. Lastly, Do UK Now, the Broke Boy Insider has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. Brother, that's crazy generous of you. Super appreciate you being here, Will, as always. But that's going to do it for us here. 90 plus minutes.
Another one just came in, Boom.
Oh, they did. Okay, let me see who that is. JD Gamer drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. It says, have you noticed that every time these layoffs happen, certain studios are never touched? I believe those studios have limited integration clauses. It's possible, but then again, a lot of the studios that aren't touched are making like major, like first party AAA IP. I don't know if they have any clauses that protect them over some of the other ones, but again, this is something that we're going to discuss, and we will continue to have this conversation. But let's get everyone out of here. Hargeet China, let's sell your brand, brother. We know that you wrote a book last year called Emergence. It's right behind you, and if you want to potentially buy that book and read it, you can do that on print, and he can tell you where you can buy it. But also, I'd like to see people subscribe to your YouTube channel because obviously you do content. I'm sure that this is going to be a conversation that may or may not come up in a video or two. Where can they go ahead and do that? And also, if they want to reach out to you on the Discord, How could they do that, brother?
Yeah, so H Johnny on Discord. Yeah, if you want to pick up my book, shop.johnny.us, and my channel is Hargy21. Tomorrow UFC Money on during the day, and I'll be on with him for what one's that called? Night Quest, I think. On on tomorrow night's C Money show and Doodle show, because normally it's Friday, but Friday is 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And I think yesterday was Canada Day for those in Canada. Hopefully you had a great Canada Day. So yeah, we won't be doing Friday's show. We'll do it tomorrow instead. And then I'll be on with Fonz and Web Dave on Saturday and Sunday. So check those out, 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern time for both of those. And then we'll be back next week, and hopefully we won't have more layoffs, but we probably will. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure. So catch everybody next week here.
And you know what? Speaking of tomorrow's show, so tomorrow is X-Vlog Live, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, myself and C Money. The show is going to be opened by my nephew. He's going to be the first time he's on camera tomorrow. And he actually created the thumbnail for tomorrow's show. He is he likes to consider him interning at Double Barrel Gaming, and he's learning the business. We started with thumbnails. He's going to learn video editing over the summer. And he's actually going to take a class in his last year in 12th grade in high school. They have actually podcasting and content creation classes at his school, which is just wild. It is amazing. So he's getting a head start, and he's hanging out with his Theo. And tomorrow's thumbnail was created all by him. I literally did nothing to help him other than kind of guide him on how to make them. And so far, not bad for his first one. But Kay Asante, let's sell the brand. I'm sure that you're going to have a lot to talk about this week. Saturday, you're going to be doing a show, I would imagine, with your partner in crime, Everborn Saga, on the new episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people check that show out on Saturday mornings, and more importantly, subscribe on YouTube?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I apologize. I had to run away real quick because life had to happen real quick.
Indeed,
so I may not have been in front of a mic. It does around here, But yes, thank y'all for being here as you come and we discuss these sometimes, some true stories and real life conversations that we have to have, because obviously people losing jobs and things that we don't really like, but we like to keep it to gaming. We will be talking about this a bit more. I want to wait until the dust settles and see exactly what everything looks like when it's all said and done. There's still some developing stories as to who will completely hit. Geez, Boom, you didn't have to hit him in the face like that. Wow, that's.
I mean, she came up the line. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
That was just gruesome, sir. Woo, right in the forehead and everything. Anyway, wow. Anyway, so yeah, come check us out. GCP on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gaming Circle podcast. Looking forward to having a conversation. I actually haven't heard Everborn's opinion on how all this is shaking out.
We'll talk tomorrow morning. We'll try and get him on the horn and do our morning round robin, if you will.
Exactly. I don't have to work tomorrow, so I look forward to the conversation. All right.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother. I'll talk to you in the morning for sure, and hopefully we can get Everborn, get his hot take on it. Korkenstein, tell the brand, brother, because of course you've been doing a lot of work with the Xbox community, and of course you have an incredible Discord. So where can people subscribe, check out the work on Discord, and more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yeah, thank you for letting me join in last minute. Great discussion all around. Yeah, so Xbox talks. Yes, we are working with getting some more AMAs in. I need to send a message to Chris from ID at Xbox to see if we can do a little partnership and get more indie developers on our platform over at the Xbox subreddit. And that way we can, get out like some cool codes or do some really cool developer, highlight some really cool indie games and stuff like that. So that's in the works right now. The next thing is Game Pass Gumbo. We might have a show this Sunday. I'm on overnights now, so I'm still trying to adjust into getting a regular schedule. So Sunday we might have a show, or late night Saturday. Just got to see with all of that, but we'll be talking about the Bandai Namco showcase that just happened earlier today, and then of course the layoffs and everything that's impacted Xbox Other than that, those are the only two things I got in the pipeline right now.
Listen, thank you so much for being here. And obviously, you're always a big part of Friday's Breakfast with Boom, which, of course, there will not be a new show this Friday because obviously it's the holiday. And we're going to just kind of unplug a little bit from social media. My wife and I are going to just take the day to hang out and have a long weekend, which we're due for sure. But thank you for everyone that tuned in today. A big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, and gifted subs that have come in today and every day during the live stream. Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for the generosity. And of course, I'm going to close the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.